Welcome to the deep dive. Today,
Oh, cool.
we're taking you on a journey
Nice.
back to ancient Bethlehem to explore the story of Ruth.
Oh, very cool.
You might think you know this tale of loyalty and resilience, but trust me, we're going beyond the surface level today.
Love it.
We're going to be unpacking excerpts from
Okay.
the Book of Ruth, chapters 1 through 3,
Right.
to uncover how this ancient story challenges our ideas
Interesting.
about family and belonging,
Yeah.
even thousands of years later.
Yeah. What's fascinating about this story is that it doesn't start with a happy family
Right.
in a peaceful setting.
Yeah.
Instead, we're immediately thrown into a crisis.
Okay.
A famine has struck Judah,
Wow.
forcing a man named Elimelech,
Okay.
his wife Naomi,
Mm-hmm.
and their 2 sons
Okay.
to make a desperate decision
Right.
to leave their home in Bethlehem.
Okay, let's unpack this famine for a second.
Sure.
Bethlehem literally means house of bread. So you wouldn't expect it to be
Right.
a place struck by famine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no,
That's almost ironic.
it really highlights the severity of the situation. doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like imagining a drought hitting a rainforest.
Oh, yeah.
It forces you to think about the desperate choices
Right.
people had to make
Yeah.
in ancient times when
Huh.
survival was on the line.
Totally.
Think about it. Leaving your homeland meant
Yeah.
leaving behind everything familiar.
Everything.
Your community, your livelihood,
Of
your
course.
entire way of life.
I can't even imagine making that decision.
Yeah.
So they head to Moab,
Moab, right?
a foreign land, hoping for a better life.
Yep.
But tragedy seems to follow them.
Absolutely. Elimelech dies,
Oh, no.
leaving Naomi a widow in a foreign land.
Right.
Her sons marry Moabite women,
Okay.
Orpah and Ruth.
Okay.
But then
yeah.
tragedy strikes again,
Oh, gosh.
and both sons die too.
Oh, wow.
Now imagine Naomi's situation.
I know, right?
She's a woman, alone,
Yeah.
without the support of a husband or sons,
Right.
in a society where that meant
Right.
being incredibly vulnerable.
What options would a woman like Naomi
Right.
have had at that time?
Well, her choices were limited.
Yeah.
In ancient societies, a widow often had to
Yeah.
rely on the charity of her
Yeah.
expanded family or
Yeah,
community.
Yeah.
So it might have been forced into
Well,
remarriage, even if it was against their will,
right.
simply for survival.
It really makes you appreciate how much
Well-
societal structures have changed,
For sure.
at least in many parts of the world.
Right.
So what happens to Naomi?
Yeah.
So does she stay in Moab?
Word reaches her
Okay.
that the famine in Judah has ended,
Uh-huh.
and she decides to return to Bethlehem.
Okay.
But she urges her daughters-in-law,
Right.
Orpah and Ruth,
Okay.
to stay in Moab.
Right.
She even offers them a poignant blessing,
Mhm.
saying, "May the Lord show you the same devotion you showed." But the word devotion here,
Yeah.
the Hebrew word is haste,
Oh, okay.
is so much more than just kindness.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah,
It's like this ancient word
Right.
holds a whole universe of meaning.
exactly.
Mm.
It encompasses loyalty, loving kindness,
Uh-huh.
and steadfast faithfulness.
Wow.
It's a profound concept
Yeah.
that went beyond mere obligation.
Yeah.
Imagine those soldiers who throw themselves
Right.
on grenades to save their comrades.
Wow, yeah.
Or those individuals
Yeah.
who dedicate their lives to caring for the sick and suffering.
Right.
That's the kind of all-encompassing loyalty
Right.
that haste represents.
Wow. That puts Naomi's words in a whole new light.
Right.
She's essentially acknowledging the incredible depth of their sacrifice.
Yes.
And wishing that same kind of loyalty upon them in return.
Yes. And her next words reveal just how deeply
Okay.
the loss and hardship have affected her. She says, "Don't call me Naomi, pleasant.
Right.
Call me Mara, bitter."
Wow.
It's a raw expression of grief
Yeah.
and a feeling of abandonment by God.
It makes you wonder how people in ancient times grappled
Right.
with their faith when faced with such suffering.
Right.
Was this a common reaction?
Well, it's a question that resonates across time, isn't it?
Yeah.
We still grapple with the same questions today.
Yeah, for sure.
How do we reconcile a belief in a loving God
Right.
with the reality of pain and loss?
Right.
Naomi's raw honesty reminds us
Yeah.
that faith isn't always easy
Right.
or straightforward, especially when life throws curveballs.
That's definitely a relatable sentiment,
Yeah.
even for those who may not
Yeah.
be particularly religious.
Right.
So what happens to Orpah and Ruth?
Okay.
Do they stay in Moab as Naomi suggests?
Orpah understandably,
Yeah.
is torn,
Right.
but ultimately decides to say goodbye
Wow.
and stay in Moab.
It's a heartbreaking scene.
It is.
But it highlights the very real dilemma
Yeah.
they face.
Right.
Ruth, however, makes a different choice.
Right.
She clings to Naomi and utters those famous words,
Yeah.
"Wherever you go, I will go."
That's a powerful statement.
What do you think motivated Ruth's unwavering loyalty?
Right.
I mean, she wasn't even an Israelite.
Right.
She was a Moabite.
It goes against every cultural expectation.
Totally.
Why would this young woman choose to leave everything she knew behind
Yeah.
to follow her widowed mother-in-law
Right.
back to a land that might not even
They're
been
not-
welcoming to her?
Right.
Was it love for Naomi?
Right.
A sense of duty?
Right.
Or maybe even a belief that she was meant for
Yeah.
something more?
Right.
These are the questions that make Ruth's story so
Totally.
compelling, even
Yeah.
after all these centuries.
And she even invokes a curse
Right.
upon herself if she breaks her vow.
Yeah.
Talk about commitment.
That's what makes Ruth such a fascinating character.
Yeah.
Her loyalty wasn't just a fleeting emotion.
Right.
It was a deeply held conviction.
Right.
So the two women, bound by this extraordinary pledge,
Right.
set out on their journey
Wow.
back to Bethlehem.
And here's where the story takes another interesting turn.
All right.
All right. I'm hooked.
Okay.
Tell me more.
We jump ahead to the barley harvest in Bethlehem.
Okay.
Naomi, ever the strategist,
Uh,
hatches a plan.
oh, this is good.
She instructs Ruth on how to approach Boaz,
Okay.
a wealthy relative
Oh, okay.
of Elimelech.
Boaz, that's a name
That's right.
we're going to hear a lot more about.
You will?
What's his role in all of this?
He's what's known as
Okay.
a kinsman-redeemer,
Okay.
a concept that was central to ancient Israelite law.
Okay.
Think of it this way.
Okay.
If someone died without a male heir,
Mm-hmm.
a close relative,
Right.
the kinsman-redeemer
Okay.
had certain obligations.
Okay.
He could buy back family land
Right.
that had been sold,
Okay.
avenge a wrongful death,
Okay.
and even marry the widow
Right.
to ensure the continuation of the family line.
So there was a system in place
Right.
to protect families and their legacies.
Exactly. It was a safety net,
Yeah.
a way to ensure that widows and orphans
Right.
weren't left destitute.
Right. And in Ruth's case,
Yes, and in Ruth's case,
Boaz, as a kinsman-redeemer,
right,
had the potential to change everything.
he did. Naomi certainly seems to think so.
Right.
Yeah, she sends Ruth to Boaz with very
She does.
specific instructions.
Right.
It's all very detailed.
Uh-huh.
Bathing perfumed oil,
Right.
uncovering his feet,
Interesting.
while the theatrics.
In those days, actions spoke louder than words.
Right.
Every gesture was loaded
Wow.
with cultural significance.
Right.
Think about it. In a world without dating apps or social media,
I know.
these subtle actions were a way to communicate
Yeah.
intentions
Mhm.
and signal availability.
For marriage.
So this wasn't just about
Right.
Naomi playing matchmaker.
Exactly.
It was about strategically navigating
It was.
a complex social system, right?
Exactly. And this brings us to
Yeah.
a pivotal moment in the story.
Oh, this is good.
Boaz wakes up
Okay.
in the middle of the night
Uh-huh.
and finds Ruth at his feet.
Wait, what?
I know.
This sounds like a scene straight out of a
Yeah,
movie.
no, right?
What was he thinking?
Right.
What was she thinking?
It's a moment that's both shocking
Yeah,
and incredibly suspenseful.
totally.
What will Boaz do?
I know.
How will he react?
Yeah.
And more importantly,
Yeah.
what does it all mean for Ruth and Naomi's future?
Oh my gosh.
Stay tuned
I know. I can't wait.
to find out.
Okay, so last time we left off with Ruth at Boaz's feet.
Right.
Talk about a cliffhanger.
It was a...
Did Boaz freak out?
Was he angry?
The story tells us that he was startled,
Right.
which is understandable
Yeah,
considering the circumstances.
of course.
But he wasn't angry.
Oh, okay.
In
Yeah.
fact, his reaction reveals a lot
Okay.
about his character.
What do you mean?
He could have easily reacted with suspicion
Right.
or anger.
Right.
A foreign woman
Right.
down at his feet in
Yeah.
the middle of the night.
I know.
It could have been seen as scandalous
Oh, totally.
or even a threat.
Yeah.
But Boaz
Yeah.
doesn't jump to conclusions.
Okay.
He listens to Ruth's story.
Okay.
And his response is surprisingly compassionate.
So Ruth explains why she's there
Exactly.
and what she's asking of him.
And remember, she's not just asking for a handout
Right.
or charity.
Right.
She is appealing to his sense of duty,
Okay.
his obligation as a kinsman-redeemer
Right.
to marry her and provide for both
Wow.
her and Naomi.
It was a bold move
It was?
on her part, right.
Absolutely.
Especially in that time period.
Remember what we talked about earlier?
Yes.
A woman's fate in ancient societies.
Was often tied to her male relative
Right.
by making this proposal to Boaz.
Right.
Ruth was taking a huge risk.
Totally.
There was no guarantee he would agree,
Right.
and refusal could have left her and Naomi
Oh, God.
in an even more precarious position.
This whole situation is giving me some serious anxiety.
I bet.
It makes you realize how much courage it took for Ruth to advocate for herself and Naomi.
I think that's one of the reasons why Ruth's story continues to resonate
Right.
with people today.
For sure.
Her actions embody this timeless quality
Right.
of resilience, of standing up for what's right,
Totally.
even when faced with uncertainty
I
and
know.
potential rejection.
So what does Boaz say? Does he agree to marry her?
He's definitely drawn to Ruth. He
Okay.
praises her character
Okay.
and her loyalty to Naomi,
Okay.
and he expresses a desire to fulfill
Uh-huh.
his role as a kinsman-redeemer.
Oh, okay.
But there's a catch.
I knew it. There had to be a complication.
Yeah.
What is it?
It turns out there's another relative,
Okay.
someone even closer to Elimelech's
Okay.
family line,
Right.
who has the first right of refusal.
Oh, no.
It's like finding out someone else is ahead of you
Right.
in line for a promotion,
Right.
except in this case, the stakes are much higher.
So it's not as simple as
Oh,
Boaz just saying yes and everyone lives happily ever after.
not quite. Boaz,
Okay.
being a man of integrity,
Mm-hmm.
insists on doing things properly,
Okay.
according to the law.
Okay.
He's not going to take any shortcuts
Right.
or try to undermine the other relative's claim.
This is like a legal thriller
Yeah.
meets a love story.
Right.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
We'll get ready for more drama
Okay.
because Boaz decides
Yeah.
to take the matter public.
Oh, wow.
Imagine a scene like this.
Okay.
It's morning in Bethlehem,
Okay.
and the town gate is bustling with activity. This was the equivalent of
Right.
a modern-day courthouse or
Yeah.
town square.
At the place where everyone gathers
Exactly.
to hear the news
Yes.
and settle important matters.
Exactly. Boaz summons 10 elders,
Right.
respected members of the community,
Okay.
to witness a formal proceeding.
Okay.
He calls for this other relative,
Uh-huh.
whose name is never mentioned,
Right.
and lays out the situation.
Okay.
He says,
Yeah.
Naomi is back,
Mm-hmm.
and she's selling the land
Right.
that belonged to Elimelech.
Okay.
You have the first right to buy it back,
Right.
to redeem it.
So he's basically giving this other relative a chance to step up and fulfill his duty.
And at first,
Okay.
the relative seems eager.
Okay.
She probably saw it as a good business deal,
Right.
a chance to acquire more land.
Right.
But then Boaz drops a bombshell.
Oh.
He says, okay, but if you redeem the land,
Yeah.
you also have to redeem Ruth the Moabite, the widow of Maon,
Okay.
and raise up an heir for the deceased.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So it's all or nothing.
it is.
He can't just take the land
No, what?
without taking on the responsibility of Ruth
Correct.
and her potential offspring.
Exactly. Remember, the kinsman-redeemer
Right.
was supposed to protect
Yes.
the family line and legacy.
Yes.
Suddenly, this deal isn't looking.
I bet.
So appealing to the other relative,
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah.
He'd be taking on a Moabite wife,
Right.
someone considered an outsider,
Right.
and potentially complicating his own inheritance
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
through this complex lineage.
Talk about a dilemma. It is. So what does he decide?
The text tells us
Okay.
that he hesitates.
Oh, okay.
Realizing the full weight of what's being asked of him,
Right.
he ultimately declines, saying, I cannot redeem it for myself.
Wow.
And to make it official,
Okay.
he removes his sandal,
Right.
a symbolic act
Right.
in ancient Israelite culture.
Yeah.
That signified forfeiting his right of redemption.
I wonder what was going through his mind
Yeah.
at that moment.
It's a question.
Was it purely a financial decision?
Right.
Or were there deeper
Right.
social pressures at play?
It's a question worth pondering.
Yeah.
We can only speculate.
Yeah.
But it highlights the complexities
I'd
of
think
their
that's-
social system
Right.
and the weight
Yeah.
of cultural expectations.
Right.
Imagine making a life-altering decision
Bro, yeah.
like that
Yeah.
in front of a crowd of people
Right.
with everyone watching
Right.
and judging your actions.
It makes you realize that even in ancient times,
Right.
decisions weren't always black and white.
Right.
There were so many
Exactly.
parts to play.
And just like that,
Yeah.
the path is cleared for Boaz
Okay.
to step in
Yeah.
and fulfill his promise to Ruth.
It's like all the tension and the drama.
The sense of anticipation,
Yeah.
it all builds up
Right.
to this moment.
I can only imagine what Naomi was going through back home,
Right.
waiting for the news.
Waiting to hear.
What a roller coaster of emotions.
You could bet she was on the edge of her seat.
Yeah.
And when Boaz publicly declares,
Yeah.
I will redeem her,
Wow.
it's like a collective sigh of relief
Right.
washes over the entire community.
It's beautiful.
They witness justice being served
Yeah.
and compassion triumphing
Right.
over self-interest.
This whole scene reminds me of those courtroom dramas where everyone's waiting for the verdict.
Right.
Except this one has a happy ending.
It's a perfect blend of legal drama, cultural intrigue,
Yeah.
and a touch of romance.
Yes.
And it beautifully illustrates how Boaz embodies the true spirit of the kinsman-redeemer.
Yes.
He's not just fulfilling a legal obligation.
Right.
He's acting with integrity,
Right.
compassion, and a genuine desire to do what's right.
It's a reminder that true leadership isn't just about power or position.
Right.
It's about character and the courage to do what's right,
Yes.
even when it's not the easy thing to do.
And with this public declaration, the stage is set
Yes.
for Boaz and Ruth to finally marry. The elders bless the union,
Right.
invoking the names of Abraham and Jacob,
Right.
the patriarchs of their faith,
Okay.
and praying for Boaz and Ruth
Uh-huh.
to build a flourishing household.
What a beautiful moment.
It is.
It feels like the culmination of all the challenges and hardships they've endured.
Right.
It's a symbol of hope and restoration for both of them.
And remember how Naomi was so full of bitterness and despair
Yeah.
when she first returned to Bethlehem?
Right.
I bet this turn of events changed
Oh, yeah.
her perspective completely.
It's like she's gone from Mara,
Right.
meaning bitterness,
Yeah.
back to Naomi, meaning pleasantness.
Exactly.
She finally has something to celebrate.
It's a powerful reminder that sometimes,
Yeah.
even when things seem hopeless,
Right.
unexpected blessings can come our way.
Love that.
And sometimes the greatest acts of loyalty and love
Yeah.
come from the people we least expect.
It's like the saying goes, it's always darkest
That's
before the dawn.
Exactly.
So what happens next?
We
Does
go.
the story end with the wedding?
Not quite.
Okay.
There's one more twist.
Ooh, I like twists.
That might surprise you.
I have a feeling I'm going to like this twist.
Okay.
Tell me everything.
Ruth conceives
Okay.
and gives birth to a son
Okay.
named Obed.
Obed. Okay.
And the women of Bethlehem celebrate
Ah.
with Naomi saying,
Yeah.
praise be to the Lord,
Uh-huh.
who this day has not left you
Right.
without a kinsman-redeemer.
Right.
They even say,
Yeah.
he will renew your life and sustain you in your old age.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
They're saying that this baby Obed
Yeah.
is Naomi's redeemer,
Yeah.
not Boaz.
It's subtle, but yes,
Wow.
that's the implication.
Okay.
Remember, the concept of redemption
Yeah.
wasn't just about property or lineage.
Right.
It was about restoring and upholding
Right.
the well-being of the entire family.
Yeah.
And in a sense, Obed,
Okay.
through his birth,
Right.
represents that restoration for Naomi.
That's beautiful.
He ensures her care in her old age
Oh.
and brings joy back into her life after so much loss.
Wow. That's an incredible detail that I never would have picked up on.
I know.
It really shows how deep, multi-layered this story is.
It really does. And here's another detail
Okay.
that's going to blow your mind.
Okay.
Obed grows up
Okay.
and becomes the grandfather of King David.
What?
I know.
Are you serious?
The story ends with a genealogy
Okay.
that links Ruth,
Yeah.
the Moabite outsider,
Right.
to the lineage of the most famous king
Wow.
of Israel.
Whoa.
Wow.
Talk about a plot twist. It
Yeah.
completely changes the way you look at the entire story.
It really does.
Right. It's like those movies where you think it's just
A simple love story.
a simple love story.
But then you find out there's a whole secret society.
Right.
Or a conspiracy theory
Yeah.
woven into the plot.
Exactly. This seemingly simple story of a family in crisis
Right.
ends up having major implications
It does.
for the future of Israel.
It does.
It really makes you think about how individual choices
Mm-hmm.
and acts of courage
Yeah.
can have ripple effects
They do.
throughout history.
And that brings us to the
Yeah.
heart
Yeah.
of why Ruth's story continues
Right.
to captivate us today.
Totally.
It's more than just
Yeah.
a historical account
Right.
or a feel-good story.
Right.
It's a timeless exploration
Right.
of human resilience,
Yeah.
the power of loyalty,
Uh-huh.
and the unexpected ways
Totally.
in which fate can intervene
Wow.
to bring about redemption and hope.
We've been on quite a journey
Right.
with Ruth and Naomi,
Right.
from famine to Moab
Right.
to redemption in Bethlehem.
Yes.
It's a story
It is.
packed with twists and turns.
Not sure.
But what I find really fascinating
Yeah.
is how it speaks to us today,
Yeah.
thousands of years later.
It's a testament to the enduring power of storytelling, isn't it?
Absolutely.
The themes of loss, resilience,
All right.
loyalty, compassion, they're all
Yeah.
universal experiences
Yeah.
that transcend time and culture.
We see ourselves in these characters,
Right.
in their struggles,
Yeah.
in their triumphs.
And one of the things that makes the Book of Ruth
Yeah.
so compelling is its portrayal of women.
Right.
Both Ruth and Naomi
Yeah.
defy societal expectations.
Totally.
They're strong, resourceful, and fiercely devoted to one another.
Naomi, despite her grief
Right.
and initial bitterness,
Yeah.
becomes this mastermind strategist,
She does.
orchestrating a plan
Right.
to secure a future
Yeah.
for both of them.
For both of them.
And Ruth takes an incredible risk,
Yeah, she does.
stepping outside her comfort zone and
Oh,
challenging cultural norms
Right.
to care for her mother-in-law.
Their relationship is a powerful testament
Yeah.
to the strength of female bonds.
Right.
In a world where women were often
Right.
marginalized
Yeah.
and their voices silenced.
Right.
Ruth and Naomi stand out as examples
Totally.
of resilience and mutual support.
It's like they create their own family,
Yeah.
their own circle of belonging
Yeah.
outside the traditional structures
Exactly.
of their society.
And let's not forget Boaz.
Right. Oh.
He's not just some wealthy landowner.
Right.
He embodies this sense of integrity
Yes.
and compassion,
Mm-hmm.
choosing to act with fairness and generosity
Yes.
when he could have easily
Right.
exploited the situation for his own gain.
His actions really demonstrate
I do.
the true spirit of the kinsman-redeemer.
Yes.
It's not just about fulfilling a legal obligation.
Right.
It's about going above and beyond
Yes.
to restore wholeness,
Nah,
to bring hope,
yeah.
to extend grace.
He reminds us that true leadership isn't about
Right.
power or position,
Right.
but about character and doing the right thing,
Exactly.
even when it's difficult.
And then there's that incredible twist at the end.
Oh, I know.
Ruth, the Moabite outsider,
Right.
becomes an ancestor of King David.
It's like the ultimate affirmation
It
of her
is.
loyalty
Right.
and a testament to the unexpected ways
Yeah.
in which our lives can unfold.
It challenges our assumptions
It does.
about lineage and belonging, doesn't it?
It really does.
It suggests that family isn't just about
Right.
bloodlines,
Yeah.
but about love, loyalty,
Right.
and shared values. It's a reminder that sometimes
Yeah.
the most ordinary lives
Yeah.
can have extraordinary impact.
Right.
Who would have thought that a famine,
Right.
a Moabite widow,
Yeah.
and a barley harvest
Right.
would lead to the Davidic dynasty?
It's like a ripple effect.
Right.
Small acts of kindness,
Uh-huh.
courageous decisions,
Right.
moments of sacrifice,
Yeah.
they can all contribute to something much bigger
Right.
than ourselves, shaping the course of history
Nice.
in ways we may never fully comprehend.
So as we wrap up
Yeah.
this deep dive,
Right.
what do you think are the key takeaways for us today?
Well,
Why should we care about this ancient story
Right.
in the 21st century?
the Book of Ruth offers a timeless message
Yes.
of hope and redemption.
Right.
It reminds us that even in the midst of tragedy
Yeah.
and uncertainty,
Right.
there's always potential for a brighter future.
It's a story that encourages us
Right.
to be open to the unexpected, to extend kindness to those
Yeah.
who are different from us,
Right.
and to trust that even our small acts
Mhm.
of loyalty and compassion
Right.
can make a difference in the world.
And I think that's what makes this story so enduring.
Totally.
It speaks to that deep human longing
Yeah.
for connection, for belonging, for
Yeah.
purpose.
Right.
It reminds us that even in a world
Yeah.
that can often feel divided and chaotic,
Yeah.
there's still room for love,
Yeah.
for justice, for
Yeah.
redemption.
It's a beautiful thought
Yeah.
to leave our listeners with. In a world that often focuses on self-interest,
Right.
the story of Ruth challenges us
Yes.
to consider what it truly means
Right.
to be a family,
Yeah.
to show compassion, and to
Uh-huh.
act with integrity. It's a story that continues to inspire and
Yeah.
challenge us.
Yes.
Even after all these centuries,